an animal which never drinks water but absorbs through skin. It will sleep throughout the summer and winter. Even interestingly, it has dual life. One is aquatic, another is terrestrial. Now, if you are passing by a village pond in a rainy evening, you can hear their crackling sound. Yes, I'm talking about frog, our froggy bro. So today, for the first time in our PW NEET English channel, we are gonna complete this topic of frog, which is from the chapter structural organization, and obviously it's a comparatively new one for NEET aspirants, right? Okay, and after completion we will be solving some really important questions, and for questions you have our PW app, and the link you will be getting, just check the description box, and PW, the most amazing platform where we are learning every day so much new things, right? So let's start the chapter, and the topics we're going to cover: the introduction of frog, some basic criteria of frog we're going to talk, morphology of frog, we'll be studying the external feature, and in anatomy we'll be studying about the internal feature of organs and system. So let's learn and do fun.
Like we have our Aadhaar card, let's make the Aadhaar card of our cute froggy. Is he really cute? Okay. So how we are gonna make the Aadhaar card? In zoology or in biology, we talk about the classification schemes. What is the actual position of a particular animal in this living world, right? Okay, so the first thing, if we talk about the kingdom, hey froggy bro, what's your kingdom? I belong to kingdom Animalia, Animalia, Animalia. That is similar to us. No fun is this. Okay, hey bro, what's your phylum? Now frog will answer, the same phylum you belongs, Chordata, 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 because they have a notochord eventually modified into vertebral column. Okay. Now the subphylum will be vertebrata. The subphylum will be vertebrata, as because there are few chordates who have vertebral column in this certain stage of life. Basically, the embryonic stage has the notochord, and that get modified into bony or cartilaginous vertebral column in the mature stage. So that's why the frog, the subphylum of the frog will be vertebrata, similarly like us. Now the important thing, that is class. What is the class of frog? The class of frog is amphibia, the animals with dual life. We will discuss why we call them amphibia, what is the actual meaning of amphibia. It's not just that those who are living in land as well as water, we can call them amphibia. There are certain other important features as well. So they belong to the class amphibia. And the next thing, their order. The order of frog is Anura. Now what do you mean by Anura? Euro, the word euro in biology is called tail, and means absent. Like they don't have tail, right? When basically they are tadpole, they have the tail. When they are adult, they the tail is degenerated. The tail gradually degenerates, and if you study adult frog, then there is no tail in the body. That's why we are calling them absence of tail or Anura. Okay, now where you will be finding them? Where you will be finding them? You were searching. Now remember the story we started the beginning of this class. You were sitting nearby a pond, and ponds are generally fresh water bodies. So you can find them nearby fresh water bodies. Okay, this is very important thing. Very important thing. Why I'm emphasizing on this freshwater body? Because there is no frog, even a single one in the world, which you will be finding nearby a marine water or salty water, saline water bodies or brackish water bodies. Frogs, they living nearby freshwater bodies is because if you keep a frog into marine water, then what will happen? Eventually it will dehydrate and die. That's why in order to maintain their moist skin, they need to maintain their osmolarity as well. So they prefer fresh water, not salt water. Next, why we were calling them amphibia? The amphi word comes from the word dual, two, and bia word came from the word bio, that means life. So the animals with dual life, animals with dual life. Now why so? If we talk about their larval phase, that is tadpole larva, what we call their larva? Tadpole larva. Now, if you observe tadpole larva, it's just like a fish. It's having gills, tails, don't have limbs. They're thriving inside the water. If you take out from the water, they will literally die. So they're exclusively aquatic, the larval phase. Now, when they get matured from larva to adult, when they get maturity, if you study their adulthood, then you will be finding that mostly they are terrestrial, they are dwelling in land. But again, the important thing is, in living world, whom we will be calling really amphibians. One stage of life aquatic, another stage of life terrestrial. That's fine, that's good. But you'll be finding during the time of their breeding season or reproductive season, they'll be searching for freshwater bodies because they're going to perform their external fertilization and they will be jumping into the water. So for reproduction or breeding, they must need water, though they in adult stage they're thriving into the land. Next, one very interesting thing about their physiology. Have you ever really checked that during the time of peak summer and winter, when there is scorching sun of summer or shivering cold of winter, you won't be finding frogs nearby you, surrounding in your surroundings. Where they've gone in winter and summer? Okay, actually they haven't vanished. They are taking shelter. They are hiding from the heat or they're hiding from the cold into the burrows, into the mud burrows. Okay, nearby some swampy areas and all. Why so? So next we have to check their blood or their body temperature. So we call them cold-blooded animals. Why they are cold-blooded or poikilotherms, the synonymous term cold-blooded, also you can call it poikilotherms. They really can't regulate their body temperature. Frogs cannot regulate their body temperature. We are homeotherms. We are warm-blooded. So what do you mean by warm-blooded and cold-blooded? Cold-blooded doesn't mean that you can drink the blood like Coca-Cola. It's not that cold. Because they cannot maintain their constant body temperature, they have to depends upon the atmospheric temperature, depends upon the environment. That's why also we are calling this ectothermicity. What we are calling? We are calling this ectothermicity. So there also can be called ectotherms, and we are all endotherms because we can maintain a regular constant temperature of nearby 37 degrees Celsius. Either it's hot or cold, we don't bother about that. Okay. So as because they are cold-blooded, they really cannot tolerate, and because of this intolerance, in summer or winter, they will be searching for a burrow, or they will be digging a burrow, mud burrow, and they will be resting into that. What do you call? What do you call winter sleep? And summer sleep. Winter sleep and summer sleep. Winter sleep and summer sleep. Winter sleep also can be called as hibernation. And summer sleep can be called estivation. And where you can find them? They're taking shelter into mud burrows. So during the time of winter sleep, frogs, they'll be taking shelter into mud burrows. Next important introductory part about the frog is that, okay, now if you really observe a frog which is hiding inside some grass. Now you imagine the frog is jumping around nearby a grassland to capture the prey. Now you observe the skin color of the frog will be greenish in nature, but the same frog, if you bring it back to a concrete floor, then you'll be finding the skin color is getting changed into grayish. Okay, so why so? So they have capacity to change their skin color. Capacity to change their body color, and this phenomena is called camouflage. So not only chameleons and octopus they're good at camouflage, but frogs are also known for their camouflage nature. Now next question, why they are doing so? Why they are changing their body color or skin color according to the background, according to the surrounding? They're hiding from their enemies or they're hiding from their preys, right? So this protective coloration is called mimicry. So this protective coloration, so the capacity they are posing the protective coloration will be calling is it as mimicry. So the difference between camouflage and mimicry, what is the difference? Camouflage is the capability to change the skin color depending upon the surroundings. Now, why they are doing so? If you ask question why they are doing camouflage, then the answer will be they want to protect themselves from their enemies, but they want to hide in front of their prey. That's why this protective coloration will be calling it as mimicry. Now next there is a question. Okay, so their body temperature, means frog's body temperature, varies with the temperature of the environment. Just now we were discussing that such animals can be called cold-blooded. Yes, they can be called cold-blooded. Can we call them poikilothermic? Yes, we can. Poikilothermic. They are not homeotherms. We are homeotherms. Warm-blooded animals are homeotherms. They are not endotherms. We are. Warm-blooded animals are endothermic because we have internal heat. Ectotherm, obviously, the cold-blooded animals are also can be called ectothermic animals because they have to depend upon the temperature of the atmosphere, of the external environment. So that's why they are ectothermic in nature. So three statements are correct. Three statements are correct about the frog's temperature regulation. So we can answer the option 3. Was it clear? Now let's jump into the morphology. Now this is our froggy bro in real life. So let's level it scientifically with all the morphological studies which we have conducted, and we are gonna express it right now in front of you in this beautiful slide and with this beautiful froggy. Now the body of frog, adult frog obviously we are talking about, is divided into two parts. This part we'll be calling it head and this part is trunk. So body of frogs divided into two parts, head and trunk. So they don't have what? They don't have neck and tail. Do not have what? They do not have? First neck, second tail. Adult frogs do not have neck and tail. So basically this absence of, listen me very carefully, the absence of a neck helps them in jumping. When they're really active, they want to catch prey, they want to propagate, they want to move, they want to locomote, they're jumping, right? So just imagine a frog with a neck. When it will be jumping, the neck will also it will do a problem. It will be problematic for the frog to jump or to locomote one place to another place if they really have neck. It will move like a spring. It will tangle like a spring. So that's why Almighty has vanished neck from their body. And tail, why tail is absent in the body? Again, there is no need of tail really while they are jumping because of their particular body planner, because of their shape of their body structure. Again, if you study the tadpole larva, their larval stage, their immature one, then you will be finding presence of tail. Right? So while they will be performing their metamorphosis, when frogs are performing metamorphosis, they will be losing their tail. The tail gradually gets degenerated. So where I was there that their body is divided into two distinct portion. One is head and another is trunk. Now, these are their eyes, bulged eyes, and the mouth part is elongated. The elongated mouth part, so you can call it as snout. This elongated mouth part, you can call it as snout. Now at the edge of snout, just in front of their bulged eyes, what you will be finding? You will be finding a pair of nostrils. There are two nostrils, two eyes, two simple eyes, two nostrils, and just near to the eyes, behind, or you can say behind the eye, here a special structure for collecting the sound waves and transform the vibration into the middle ear and inner ear. So this is their tympanum. It acts like our eardrum. So if you explore their head region, what you will be getting? Obviously this will be their mouth, bulged eyes, nostril, and behind the eyes they have their eardrum or tympanum. Okay. So this is a very important structure into their head region. Now let's come to their trunk region. What you are going to find? These two are forelimbs, and in backwards, in the posterior end, what you will be finding? You will be finding hind limbs. Hind limb, forelimb, anterior side, forelimb, posterior side, hind limb. Now, very important thing about their hind limb, their hind limbs are larger and muscular. Helps them into jumping. Okay. Now, when you talk about forelimbs have 4 digits in each. One forelimb has 4 fingers and one hind limb has 5 digits, 5 toes in each. So we have 5 digits in our forelimbs and 5 digits in our hind limbs, but frogs, they have 4 digits into their forelimbs and 5 digits into their hind limbs. You have to remember it. And one more thing, when a very closer look, you try to check their digitations. So what you will be getting there, the digits, suppose this is a digit, this is another digit, this is another digit, this is another digit, and this is another digits. So these digits are connected by thin flappy skin or membranous structure. So this kind of digits are called webbed digits. So they have webbed digits or webbed feet where fingers are connected through skin, and that helps them in swimming or paddling. Okay. Now let's talk about the color of skin. Now when we'll be studying the skin from the upwards, it's olive green in color, and means this is the dorsal side. This is dorsal, and this is the ventral side. So dorsally, the skin is olive green in color, and ventrally, the skin is pale yellow in color, means light yellow. Ventrally, the skin is pale yellow in color. Dorsally, the skin is olive green in color. And one more important thing you'll be finding, they have dark patches present on their body. Okay. So, I forgot to tell you one very important thing, that the species of our froggy is a Rana tigrina. Rana tigrina, that is Indian bullfrog. Indian bullfrog. There are few frogs you will be finding nearby to your home or abandoned rooms. Those having a comparatively dry skin, we call them bufo. They are not frogs, they are toads. So we are talking about frogs, and the scientific name of common Indian bullfrog, you have to remember it, it's Rana tigrina. So like on the skin they have these dark patches like tiger. That's why maybe the specific epithet is taken as tigrina. Tiger like appearance on their skin means the black patches. So that was most of the important thing. Now if you zoom out the skin of frog, then what you will be finding, the skin have many mucus glands, mucus secreting glands. That's why the skin is always smooth and slippery and wet, moist. If you dry up a skin of a frog, then it will probably die. So the nature of the skin, you can call it smooth and slippery. Smooth, moist, and if anything is smooth and moist, obviously it will be slippery. So the nature of the skin is smooth, moist and slippery. Smooth, moist and slippery because of the presence of mucus glands. Because of the presence of mucus glands, always these are secreting mucus and keeping the periphery of the skin moist. And what is the importance of that moisture? It is helping the skin for exchange, helping into exchange of gases. Okay, oxygen is getting in and carbon dioxide is getting out. So we respire through our lungs, right? But frogs can respire through their lungs, through their buccal cavity, as well as from their skin. Okay, now let's talk about some other theoretical points about frogs morphology. So we have seen they have webbed feet which helps them into swimming. The webbed digits helps them into What's happening there? So their body has head and trunk. The body has head and trunk, neck and tail is absent in adult ones. Okay. Head, in head region, what you will be finding? You will be finding two simple eyes, with few eyelids, upper eyelid, lower eyelid, which have very less mobility, and one nictitating membrane, which can be considered as third eyelid. Now, what's that? If you observe eye of a frog, then there will be upper eyelid, lower eyelid. Okay. Now, the upper eyelid is immovable. The upper eyelid, lower eyelid is slightly movable, not that much mobility like us. And they have a third eyelid. They have a third eyelid. They have a third eyelid, which is called nictitating membrane. Now, this nictitating membrane can be moved into like frontwards. So, basically, that is a transparent membrane, nictitating membrane, that is nictitating membrane is a transparent membrane, helps in swimming. Okay, so while they are diving deep into the water, like when generally human water divers, they will be wearing special kind of glass or specs while diving down, but they have natural specs, natural glassy things called nictitating membrane. They're protecting their eyes while they are swimming into the water from the force of the friction generated into, right? So these structures are very much important. Nictitating membrane. We don't have nictitating membrane, but we have like remnants or remainings of nictitating membrane. If you check your eyes, those are actually vestigial structure. Okay, so their head region have two simple eyes. Okay, nostrils, two nostrils, mouth, and also tympanum, which acts as their eardrum. Skin. Skin is smooth, slippery, and moist. Now, what is the importance of this sort of smooth, slippery, moist skin? Help in respiration. Helps in respiration. I said that if you dry up the skin, they will die. Help in respiration. during the time of specifically during the time of their estivation, while inside the water, while inside water, or summer or winter sleep in the burrows. So that's why you can imagine what is the importance of the skin and respiration throughout the skin. Okay. Now they are sexually dimorphic. There is also a morphological, important morphological aspect. They are sexually dimorphic. Means sexual dimorphism means male and female. They have different, you can differentiate between male and female frog. Now, what is the this sexually dimorphism you can find into frogs? Specifically, listen very carefully now. In breeding season, we know that four limbs have 4 digits or 4 fingers. For male frogs, the first digit becomes swell up. For male frogs, so that is called the swelled up portion of first digit. We call it copulatory pad or nuptial pad. So male frogs, they have copulatory pads. In which finger? Copulatory pads, the first digit of forelimb. It's very clear in breeding season. Okay, and also the crackling sound you can hear when it's raining in monsoon. And basically, these are called the courtship call or mating call produced by male frogs. Basically, they are singing for their female partner. So, male frogs also they have what the structure? This structure is called special vocal sac. So male frogs, what's happening? Male frogs, they have vocal sacs, so which you won't be finding in female. So by studying their copulatory pad and vocal sac, easily you can differentiate between male and female frog. And one more characteristics which I am saying, generally in normal manner, female frogs are larger than male frogs. Okay, now there is a question for you people. So a frog has jaws but no teeth, eyes but no lids, ears but no pinna, hands but no fingers. But now point wise we'll be discussing. Okay, frogs, we know that frogs have a snout which we are calling the mouth. The elongated mouth we are calling it snout, having 2 jaws like us, upper jaw, maxilla, and lower jaw, mandible. While you study their jaw, if you study jaw of a frog, then what you will be finding, the upper jaw has some bony teeth. Okay, basically they are homodont. All teeth will look alike. Unlike us, we have heterodont. So they have some bony teeth, the extension of their maxilla. So upper jaw has teeth, but lower jaw devoid, or there is no teeth present in lower jaw. The teeth which are present in upper jaw, basically those teeth help the frog to grab their prey after capturing it. Okay, so this statement, jaws but no teeth, is a wrong statement. Eyes but no lids, that is also wrong. We just now we have studied that their eyes have 3 lids, true eyelids, two true eyelids, upper eyelid and lower eyelid, and one is nictitating membrane. Ears but no pinna. Yeah, exactly. I think you never found a frog which has ear and wearing a earring, right? So don't have frogs don't have pinna. So this is our correct answer. Hands but no fingers. Obviously, they have four limbs and have four number of fingers into it. So this is also cannot be the answer. Now let's talk about the anatomy of the frog. Anatomy means the study of internal systems. So you can see that uh, there is a dissected frogs. You can observe the liver here. You can observe the heart. Okay, and many other internal structure. You can observe the pancreas. So if you cut and open inside, and if you want to go inside the body of a frog, then what are the systems you have to study? First, obviously, we'll be discussing about the digestive system. Then we'll be discussing about the respiratory system. Then we'll study about their circulatory system. Then we are going to study about their excretory system, nervous system or neural system, endocrine system, reproductive system, so all the major systems inside a frog's body we're going to study now. So don't get defocused till the interesting part, the real scientific part of the chapter is left out. So let's start it. Okay, so first of all, the digestive system. So what is the importance of digestive system? Obviously, well, we are taking food, or animals are mostly holozoic in nature. So like other animals, frogs are also holozoic in nature. They have a proper digestive system, and the food they are intaking, they're complex food. So they need to break it down into smaller, into simpler food, and then only their body cells gonna absorb that for like energy production in future, right? So they are holozoic in nature. Obviously heterotrophic, one of the heterotrophic mode of nutrition is holozoic mode of nutrition. This is digestive system we have studied in a vivid manner. Now we are gonna level it out first. What are the important structure or organs present in the digestive system? So obviously the digestive system starts with mouth. Just now we were discussing that their mouth is having two jaws, upper jaw with teeth, lower jaw without teeth. Now inside mouth they have a bilobed tongue. Inside their mouth they have a bilobed tongue. Suppose this is a frog and this is the prey it wanna capture. Now how it's gonna do so? So it has a retractile tongue in normal manner. When its mouth is closed, then it will be keeping the tongue inwards. Now when you want to capture the prey, it will throw out the tongue and it's bilobed. The tongue also has some sticky material, mucousy things, and it will capture the prey. So this sort of tongues are called bilobed. Or bifid tongue, bilobed, bifurcated, or bifid tongue. Okay. So now after mouth, inside mouth they have buccal cavity, and after buccal cavity they have pharynx, and those are fused. So we are calling it buccopharynx. Buccal cavity and pharynx is fused inside frogs. So we have separate buccal cavity, we have separate pharynx. But frogs have merged pharynx and buccal cavity. We are calling it buccopharynx. Now after buccopharynx, we'll get their esophagus. Food has entered into the esophagus. After esophagus, they have their stomach. We are talking about their alimentary canal. Now, while stomach, what is the function of stomach? Incomplete digestion of food, and this incomplete digested food from stomach, which we are calling chyme, will enter into their small intestine or duodenum. So, in NCERT, they haven't written about separately parts of small intestine and large intestine. So, it's mentioned here as intestine, right? But I want to say you that their intestine has a small intestine and a large intestine. Though large intestine is quite smaller into them, and this even eventually their intestine is also smaller in compared to us. That's because what? They are carnivorous. They are flesh eater, meat eaters. Basically, they are insectivore. They're eating upon insects. So that's why we are calling them carnivorous. So you have to remember this very important point. All the carnivorous animals, they have very like shorter intestine as well as shorter alimentary canal. The carnivorous animals have short intestine or smaller intestine. The small intestine has duodenum and ileum. Unlike us, they don't have jejunum. The part of our small intestine is DJI, duodenum, jejunum, ileum. But frogs only duodenum and ileum. Okay. Now here we'll be finding their rectum. Rectum is a temporary reservoir of undigested food, and ultimately from a rectum the undigested food is passed into a common chamber, a common opening called cloaca. Cloaca is common opening of multiple systems like alimentary canal or digestive tract, reproductive tract, and excretory tract. Cloaca is not anus. Few animals they have anus, mouth, another one opening, and another opening is anus. But for few animals, many systems combines together and open into a single chamber, which will be calling it cloaca. So cloaca is not anus. Cloaca is opening of firstly digestive system, secondly reproductive system, and thirdly excretory system in frogs. And the opening of cloaca, we are calling it cloacal aperture. Cloacal aperture or cloacal opening or cloacal meatus, right? So if we take a look on their alimentary canal, the passage of food after taking from mouth to buccopharynx and from buccopharynx through esophagus or food pipe that will enter into the stomach. Now stomach will send the partially digested food chyme into intestine. you have to remember that they have a smaller intestine. They have smaller intestine as because they are carnivorous in nature. This is very important point about their alimentary canal. Now, intestine, the complete digestion takes place into intestine. The complete digestion of food and the absorption of food takes place into the intestine. And ultimately, the undigested food is passed into the rectum, cloaca, and through the cloacal aperture, their fecal matter will be passed out. Right? So, this is the flow chart of their alimentary canal. This is the flow chart of their alimentary canal. Cloacal aperture. They're ingesting the food through their mouth and they're egesting it through the cloacal aperture. So this is their alimentary canal or GI tract, gastrointestinal tract. Now, along with, to complete the digestive system, along with the alimentary canal, or is just a passage or the pipeline through which food is moving, have some accessory glands. What are the accessory glands you will be finding in frog? Obviously, liver. Associated with liver, have gallbladder. Liver, the function of liver is to produce the bile juice, and after formation, the liver will be sending the bile juice into gallbladder. Gallbladder stores the bile juice. Concentration of bile juice takes place into the gallbladder. Like from bile juice, the excess amount of water is reabsorbed into the gallbladder. Then it releases the bile juice. So, bile juice production by liver. Storage of bile juice, gallbladder. Concentration of bile juice, gallbladder. Release of bile juice, gallbladder. Then they have pancreas. They have pancreas. Okay. So these are the major accessory glands: liver, gallbladder, and pancreas. You will say, sir, what about their salivary gland? So they don't have salivary gland actually. The saliva is secreted by their tongue. Important point. Saliva is produced by tongue, bilobed tongue. So that's why they don't have separate salivary glands like us. Okay. Now, where are these accessory glands? This structure, two lobes of livers, you'll be finding here. Left lobe and right lobe. Okay. Beneath the liver, these are not the structure associated with their digestive system. These are pink color lung, elongated. Okay. These two structure, their kidneys. Okay. Above the kidneys, some yellowish structure you will be finding here. So they are called fat bodies. This particular structure, this structure is of gallbladder. This structure is their heart. From kidneys, the pipes are coming down and opening into the cloaca. Their ureter. And this bluish structure you will be finding here, the reservoir of their urine, that is urinary gallbladder. Okay, let's move to the next part. Some important lines of NCERT is written here. Okay, so let's read it very quickly. Food is captured by their bilobed tongue. As I said, the tongue will be the producer of the saliva. Digestion of food takes place by the action of HCl and gastric juices secreted from the walls of the stomach. So basically we know that HCl and gastric juices are secreted by gastric glands. Gastric glands of stomach wall. HCl, what is the importance of HCl? Activation of protein digesting enzyme as well as antimicrobial property. It kills the germs present in the food. Gastric juice, it will the gastric juice juices have pepsin, pancreatic intestine gastric lipase. Okay, gastric proteases means pepsin, protein digesting enzyme, and gastric lipase, the fat digesting enzyme. Next, what do we see? The partially digested food. Already we have discussed about that. The partially digested food inside the stomach, which we are calling it chyme, is passed from stomach into the first part of the small intestine, and that is called duodenum. Which is the another part of small intestine? Duodenum. Is it jejunum or ileum? It's ileum, right? Not the jejunum. Now next what will happen? The duodenum receives biles from gallbladder and pancreatic juice from the pancreas through a common Now the very important point you can observe here, the duodenum is the place where complete digestion and absorption takes place. Now for digestion, it needs some digestive juices as well as bile juice. Now from where the bile juice will come? The bile juice will come from gallbladder, and the digestive juices, the maximum part of digestive juice will come from pancreas as pancreatic juice. So both the bile juice and pancreatic juice will be coming into the duodenum with the help of what? With the help of a common bile duct. So here a very important structure you need to remember here. So suppose this is the liver, two lobes of the liver of frogs. This is the bile. So this is the gallbladder, the storage of bile. So and suppose this is the pancreas. Now how it happens? So from liver, hepatic ducts will come and join together to form common bile duct. Now from common bile duct, few amount of bile will get inside the gallbladder through cystic duct. Excess amount of water is absorbed, means concentration of bile takes place inside the gallbladder, and from the cystic duct again the concentrated bile will be released through the common bile duct. From pancreas, the pancreatic duct also opens into the common bile duct, which we can call common bile duct or hepatopancreatic duct, and ultimately it get released into the first part of the intestine, that is duodenum. So from the liver the ducts are coming, which are calling as hepatic ducts. And they're joining together to form common bile duct. And this is the pancreas, and from pancreas the pancreatic duct also joining into the common bile duct. This also can be called common bile duct or hepatopancreatic duct, and ultimately it's sending biles from the gallbladder to duodenum and pancreatic juice from the pancreas as well into the duodenum to help in the digestion process. Okay. Next. Now, what is the function of bile actually is? Bile emulsifies fat and pancreatic juice digest carbohydrates and protein. Final digestion takes place into the intestine. So now let's talk about what is this emulsification of fat. Okay, so we know that fats may be present in the form of glycerides or fatty acid or glycerol. Now, in order to digest it, you need to break it into smaller droplets. A large globule of fat can be broken into smaller fat droplets. Okay. Now, further, these droplets will be digested by the enzyme lipase and will be getting monoglyceride, fatty acids and glycerols, right? But there is a problem. And what is that problem? Lipase, the fat digesting enzyme, the lipid digesting enzyme cannot work without the help of what? Without the help of water, because this is a hydrolysis will take place. Without water, fat cannot be digested by lipase. So here we need the help of bile juice. What bile juice? What there is inside the bile juice? Bile pigments, that is bilirubin, biliverdin and bile salts. So bile juice have some bile salts and bile pigment. Now this bile salts makes the pH alkaline, which is favorable for the enzyme lipase. It likes to work in alkaline environment. And fats, lipids, they have hydrophobia. They don't really want to do friendship with water. But until unless, when there is no friendship between lipid and water, there will be no digestion will initiate. There will be no digestion initiated. So here the mediator, as a mediator, we need bile juice or bile salts. What they will be doing here? Bile juice, the bile salts, they have a polar hand and a non-polar hand. You need to be very clear. Water is polar and lipids are non-polar. So there is no chance of friendship between polar and non-polar molecules. So that's why we need a mediator, and that is bile salts. So what bile salts will do? With one hand, it will catch the water, and with another hand, it will catch the lipids. So as a mediator, it will make emulsion. It will make an emulsion. So basically, it's not a solution. It's a temporary state. Okay. So now the lipase enzyme will think, now the lipids or the fats are dissolved into water. Now I can act on them. So that is the phenomena of emulsification. A temporary, generation of attraction between water and lipid molecules with the help of the bile salts. Okay. Next, what happens? Now, digested foods is absorbed by the numerous finger-like structure or finger-like folds in the inner wall of intestine called villi and microvilli. So if you check their intestine or even ours intestine, what will be finding? Suppose this is a tube, one segment of intestine. So in inner wall, you will be finding finger-like folds or finger-like projection We call them villi or villi. And if you enlarge a particular point and if you study the cells present here, then within the cells you will be finding presence of brush border like appearance, which we call microvilli. Villi and microvilli, they helps to increase the surface area. Okay, this kind of folding structure means increasing surface area. Okay, so the undigested food, what will be the fate of undigested food? The undigested solid waste moves into the rectum and passes out through the cloaca. Cloaca, common opening of what all? Common opening of digestive tract, urinary tract, and reproductive tract. So that's about cloaca. You need to memorize, you need to remember, you need to by heart, you need to understand. Okay. Next, we are going to talk about the respiratory system in frogs. It's very clear while they are larvae, which we call tadpole larvae, their mode of regulation, respiration is branchial respiration. That means they respire through gills. Larval respiration in frogs through gills or branchial respiration. When we talk about the adult ones, they exhibit three modes of respiration. Pulmonary respiration. Pulmonary respiration means respiration through lungs. Buccopharyngeal respiration and cutaneous respiration. Pulmonary respiration means respiration through they have two lungs for respiration. Buccopharyngeal respiration means through buccal cavity. Cutaneous respiration means through their moist glandular skin. Now you may ask me a question, sir, why we also have a buccal cavity, but why we cannot perform buccopharyngeal respiration or buccal respiration? Because our buccal floor or buccal roofs, they are not supplied with so much amount of blood capillaries. Okay, in order to exchange the gas, what you need to do? Suppose this is a layer. Below that layer, you must be needing blood vessel where blood is flowing. And if the respiratory surface is very thin, the oxygen from atmosphere will diffuse in and the carbon dioxide will diffuse out. So if you want to make something a respiratory surface, then it must be very thin, proximity of blood capillaries, and obviously you need to maintain moisture. The skin, the buccal cavity, all the respiratory surface you'll be finding in the living world, they are moist in nature, because the moisture means mucus, and mucus has 99% water. This water helps dissolving those gases just prior to exchanging. Okay, so respiratory system, you can remind it like this, like they have three modes of respiration: respiration through lungs, respiration through buccal cavity, respiration through their skin. Now when they will be using the skin for respiration, already we have discussed. While they will go for diving or swimming into the water, Then they use their skin for respiration. During the time of their hibernation and estivation, winter sleep and summer sleep inside the burrows, they won't be using their lungs or buccopharyngeal cavity. They will be using their skin for respiration. While they are active, they use pulmonary respiration. While they are little bit of inactive, they will use buccopharyngeal. Active, pulmonary respiration. Inactive, buccopharyngeal respiration. Okay. Now here a diagram is given. Okay, how a frog inhales, the mechanism of breathing in frog. So through their nostril, they will intake air. Now directly the nostril is connected or open into their buccal cavity or buccopharyngeal cavity. So here first stage of gaseous exchange will take place. Now the remaining air they will be pushing into the elongated pink color lungs which present to the anterior part of their body. They have two lungs, and again inside the lungs they have alveoli, and gaseous exchange is taking place. And last but not the least, their highly vascularized skin, through that also exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide, means gaseous exchange is taking place. Now if someone asks you, tell me or show me the map of their respiratory passage. So from air it will be the nostril. From nostril it will be their buccal cavity or buccopharyngeal cavity. From buccal cavity it will be their lungs. So that was all about their respiration and respiratory system. Next, we'll talk about their circulatory system, their transportation system. Now listen very carefully. This is a little bit tricky, and I think that the toughest system, whatever or whichever we are going to study in today's class, this transportation or circulatory system. Now, what is the motto of circulation? Motto of circulation or aim of circulation is transport of what? Transport of gases, transport of nutrients, and transport of excreta to and fro from the cell. Like you need to supply, deliver good things to the cell, and you have to take out the bad things from the cell and eliminate out. Like if we talk about digestion, if we talk about excretion, if we talk about respiration, the backup system of these three systems is circulatory system. Without circulatory system, digestive system, respiratory system, excretory system won't be working. Okay. So for circulation, for transportation purpose, frogs have two systems. They have two systems. One is cardiovascular system, and another is lymphatic system. So they have, when you talk about their body fluids, they have blood, the red colored one, and the colorless one, they have lymph. Blood is running through cardiovascular system. What about the cardiovascular system? That is a closed system, closed circulation is happening here. And lymphatic system, through which the lymph is running, okay, that is a kind of open circulation or open system, right? Cardiovascular system, which involves heart and blood vessels. That's why cardio and vascular. Heart for cardio, blood vessels for vascular. And the passage of lymph, it will be making the lymphatic system again, which is an open system, because lymph is called what? Lymph is called tissue fluid. Filtered blood. You will be finding lymph in the interstitial space, in the tissues, in the systems, in the organs. Okay, that's why lymph is thriving inside your body with an open passage. There is nothing called closed associated with lymphatic system. Now, heart is there to circulate blood. Now, sir, is there any kind of lymphatic heart in our body who is helping or generating force for lymph circulation? No, dear. For lymph circulation, our body movements like our breathing movements are responsible. Those are called physiological lymphatic hearts. They are not actually actual heart. Okay. So they have two type of body fluids, blood and lymph. Now, one thing more about the cardiovascular system. Mode of the circulation through cardiovascular system is called incomplete double circulation. Why incomplete double circulation? Because they have three-chambered heart, two auricles and single ventricles. Frog's heart is three-chambered, two auricles, single ventricles. What about their blood, sir? The blood has plasma, blood has RBC, blood has WBC and platelets. So, is it similar to our blood? No, dear. Their RBC, they are nucleated. Unlike us, our mature RBC. Mature RBC in mammalian RBCs are enucleated, but their RBC are nucleated because that like hemoglobin content is comparatively lesser than us. Okay, why our RBC is enucleated? Because the main aim or motto of our RBC's life is to accommodate more and more hemoglobin, and if there is more hemoglobin, efficient circulation, right? That's why our circulation mode is double circulation, but they have incomplete double circulation because their heart pumps mixed blood. Our heart have different chambers to pump different kind of blood. Left side of our heart is pumping oxygenated blood, right side of our heart is pumping deoxygenated blood. But in frog's heart, there is a single ventricle. So oxygenated and deoxygenated blood is mixed here, and ultimately the ventricle is pumping impure blood, mixed blood. That's why their body demand is also less, and that is why you can guess here that why they are cold-blooded, to make your body temperature like into a more controlled manner. If you want to control your body temperature, then you need more energy, more heat energy. And how heat energy will be produced? Heat energy will be produced, dear, by the process of catabolic process, that is respiration. And if there is more respiration, more energy generation. For more respiration, you need more oxygen. And who will be carrying the oxygen? The hemoglobin. So ultimately, they have RBC which are nucleated. That means comparatively, their RBCs are carrying less amount of hemoglobin. Okay. Now see their respiratory passage. So you can see here their heart is three-chambered heart. Now we are talking about the heart of frog. Now what kind of heart it is? It's cardiovascular system. It's a cardiovascular system, right? So heart of frog is three-chambered, two auricles, one ventricles. Heart is autorhythmic. means heart is myogenic in nature. Heart has its own cardiac muscle and they're responsible for production of their heartbeat. Okay, so that is called autorhythmicity and myogenic nature. So their heart also has sand like us, SA node, which is the prime point to produce this basically modified cardiac muscle to produce heartbeat. So their heart is also autorhythmic and myogenic like us, but unlike us, their heart is three chambered. Their getting means if we talk about their heart, two auricles, like left auricle is receiving the oxygenated blood, right auricle is receiving the deoxygenated blood, but while they're circulating through, pumping through ventricle, the blood is getting mixed. That's why incomplete double circulation. So this was the basic point about the heart. Now let's try to understand. So either lungs or from skin or from buccal cavity, they're getting oxygenated blood. So suppose these are lungs. So oxygenation is happening here and oxygenated blood is entering into the what? Entering into the right auricle or right atrium through pulmonary veins, right? Now this oxygenated blood from right atrium is entering into the single ventricle. There is no left or right ventricle. Now another term what we can see, the organs of the body are sending deoxygenated blood through what? Through vena cavas into sorry, I have done one mistake here. Here it will be left auricle, here it will be right auricle or right atrium. So the deoxygenated blood from the body organs is entering into the right atrium or right auricle through a triangular chamber here called sinus venosus. Basically what happens here, all the vena cavas will join together to form a bag, a triangular bag called sinus venosus, and the sinus venosus will open into the right atrium containing deoxygenated blood. And again from right auricle or right atrium, the deoxygenated blood will enter into the ventricle and here both the blood will get mixed. Now what will happen? Ventricle pumps the blood. So this is a kind of mixed blood which is circulated to the body organs through one passage and another passage, the pulmonary passage will take the mixed blood to the lungs again for oxygenation. So this is the mode of circulation you will be finding in frogs. So I have taken few terminologies here. One important term was sinus venosus. So all the major veins joins together. That means vena cavas joins to form a triangular chamber to receive deoxygenated blood and pour into right atrium. So here this is the like dorsal view of the heart where you can see this is the inferior vena cava, superior vena cava supplying deoxygenated blood into this triangular chamber called sinus venosus, and sinus venosus having opening into the which chamber? Right atrium. You need to remember this. Okay, the point you need to remember. Okay, for important questions, the sinus venosus. What is sinus venosus? See, sinus means it's a chamber. Okay, now how it's formed? Combination of all the major veins of the body, that means vena cava, superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. When all the major veins combines, they will be forming a triangular body, that is called sinus venosus, and where the sinus venosus will pour the blood, deoxygenated blood, into the right atrium. Okay, so that was important thing. And another important thing, another important terminology you need to remember, that is conus arteriosus. What is conus arteriosus? Right atrium, left atrium, single ventricle. Now, when this ventricle is pumping out the mixed blood, so it will form a cone kind of structure before pumping out the mixed blood. One is going towards the organs, another is going towards the lungs. Now, at this beginning point, how ventricle is pumping the blood? So, in our heart, what we see? In our heart, what we see? There are two chambers of ventricle. The left ventricle is releasing a C-shaped artery, that is called aorta. The right ventricle is releasing a T-shaped artery called pulmonary artery. Now, you can assume that for frog's heart, as because this is an inferior one, in compared to us, the frog's heart, the ventricle is not, there is no septum, not chamberized, single ventricle. When it's pumping out the mixed blood, there is a combined kind of structure of aorta and pulmonary artery, which we are calling conus arteriosus. So, conus arteriosus is a cone-like structure which is acting as the origin point of systemic artery. So, conus arteriosus, when ventricle pumps blood, first it will pour the blood into conus arteriosus, then into systemic and pulmonary arteries. Systemic artery taking the blood to the systems or organs, pulmonary artery taking the blood to the lungs, right? Systemic artery taking the blood to organs, pulmonary artery taking the blood to the lungs. So that was all about frog's circulatory system. Now we'll talk about for frog's nervous system. Frog's nervous system or neural system. So like us, frog's neural system is also have CNS, central nervous system, PNS, peripheral nervous system, and ANS, autonomic nervous system. Now, what is CNS, PNS, and ANS? Central nervous system comprises of brain and spinal cord. Brain and spinal cord. Now, they are the headquarter of neural system. These are the parts of nervous system where data processing takes place. Like our body always will be getting inputs in the form of stimuli. Now, there are some sensory nerves, sensory neurons, which will be taking the stimulus to the central nervous system. Central nervous system process the data, acting as a CPU of computer, right? And after that, after processing, it will give the signal, it will conclude the signal, what you have to respond, it will prepare the response, and the response will be carried to your nerves or muscle with the help of motor neurons. That's how our nervous system works. So the headquarter of nervous system, while data processing takes place, where there is central nervous system made up of brain and spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system means the branches of nerves which are taking like origin from either brain or spinal cord. They are called peripheral nervous system. So the nerves which are originated from brain, they are called cranial nerves. Originated from spinal cord, they are called spinal nerves. And for frogs, you have to remember there are 10 pairs of cranial nerves and 10 pairs of spinal nerves altogether. They originated from the central nervous system and spread throughout the periphery of the body. That's why they are called peripheral nervous system. They have sensory parts, they have motor parts, and a special part of nervous system, autonomic nervous system. Autonomic means really don't have to rely on central nervous system for every action. That's why we are calling them autonomic nervous system, ANS. So they have two parts. One is sympathetic and another is parasympathetic. So autonomic nervous system is made up of two parts, sympathetic nerves and parasympathetic nerves. Now what is the difference between sympathetic and parasympathetic? All the activities which are associated with catabolism, which are associated with production of energy, hyperactivity, that will be regulated by sympathetic nerve, like increasing the heartbeat, increasing the alertness, and all the activities which are associated with like decreasing the body function, conserving the energy, are associated with parasympathetic. Like after having a lunch or dinner, you feel dizzy, you feel sleepy. Why so? Because your parasympathetic nervous system is dominant now. So that is the reason that if you are going towards activity, aggression, alertness, regulated by your sympathetic, similarly in frogs. And if it's going for like rest, digestion, cool and calmness, resting stage, then obviously it is the function of parasympathetic nervous system. These are the main function, although these are very complex mechanism. Okay, like sympathetic and parasympathetic regulation is there during the time of micturition, during the time of heartbeat, during the time of perspiration for human being. Frogs also have different functions, right? They also regulate activities of certain endocrine glands. They regulate activities of like adrenal gland. They regulate activities of thyroid glands as well. Okay, now this was the gist of the nervous system or neural system, but now we have to talk about their brain. They're also an advanced animal if we compare to other animals. They're chordate, okay, they are tetrapods, and there are many other animals which do like in which you won't be finding brain or developed brain as well. They have a developed brain, a sophisticated, an average kind of brains they have, though not developed like us, but we need to talk about their brain as well. Okay, so when you talk about their brain, the brain has three parts: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. The anterior part of brain, forebrain, the middle part of brain, midbrain, and the posterior part of brain, the end part of their brain is called hindbrain. Now, what are the important structure you will be finding into their forebrain? olfactory lobes, cerebral hemisphere, and diencephalon. And in midbrain, you'll be finding two optic lobes. And in hindbrain, you will be finding pons and medulla oblongata. One more important point, brain is protected inside bony cranium or skull. So we can say that frogs are also belongs to the group Craniata because their brain is protected like us with the help of bony skull or cranium. And if the cranium is having one occipital condyle, then it's called monocondylic skull. The cranium is having two occipital condyle, so their skull is dicondylic. Their cranium or skull is dicondylic skull. We want to be elaborating what is dicondylic skull here. Later on, maybe we will be elaborating. For now, you just memorize it. It's depend upon the occipital condyle. It's a hook-like structure. Is the articulation of your skull with your vertebral column. Again, I am repeating. Okay, what is condyle? The articulation of your skull with your vertebral column is called condyle. And if there are two hook kind of structure, two articulation surface, then that is called dicondylic skull. If there is one hook or one condyle, then that will be calling monocondylic skull. Our skull is also dicondylic. Frog skulls also dicondylic. Okay, in some birds and reptiles, you will be finding monocondylic skull. And you need a connection between the brain and spinal cord. Now, brain is coming out through an opening, a large opening of the skull, that is called foramen magnum. What is foramen magnum? Suppose this is the skull of frog and this is the opening. Here the brain of frog is present. So the brain is connected to the spinal cord and it's coming out through an opening of skull, and that opening of skull is called foramen magnum, and the place where you'll be finding the eye socket, that is called orbit of skull. We were talking about their brain though. So this is a brain of a frog. These two are olfactory lobes. These two are cerebral hemisphere. This is diencephalon. This is the midbrain. Two optic lobes are present here. This is the pons. This is the medulla or medulla oblongata, which consists the hindbrain. And as we know, olfactory lobes, cerebral hemisphere, and diencephalon, they are part of forebrain. You need to remember one thing, that frogs do not have corpus callosum. Like if you study a mammal's brain, you'll be finding a tuft like structure which is connecting to cerebral hemisphere. Our left and right cerebral hemisphere are connected inside by corpus callosum, but for non-mammalian animals the corpus callosum is absent. Let's study some words, some lines of NCERT. Frogs has different types of sense organs. Now we will be talking about their sense organ. Very precisely, if we want to say, for touch, they have microscopic tiny fibrous things called sensory papillae. So sensory papillae, I'm repeating it again. For touch sensation, they have microscopic fibrous things, microscopic hairs called sensory papillae. Okay, they're present on their digits, on the surface of their skin. For taste, they have taste buds present on their tongue. For smell, they have nasal epithelium or olfactory epithelium. For vision, they have simple eyes, means one eye with one single lens. And for hearing, they have ear, but external ear, like in the form of pinna. You can see here we have pinna. Frogs do not have pinna. Frogs do not have pinna, right? Frogs do not have pinna. So their representation of external ear is tympanum, and inside the tympanum they have middle ear, and inside that they have internal ear, where sound like wave is the sensory area of sound. Internal ear, which receives the sounds and sends to the part of brain for like processing of the sound data. Again, I am repeating it. Frogs do not have pinna as external ear. Tympanum or eardrum, okay, present outside, just behind their, just near to their eyes. This tympanum, they act as a eardrum. They receive the sound wave and transfer the vibration through the middle ear into the internal ear. Like into their middle ear, they have a structure called columella. In our middle ear, we have three middle ear ossicles, right? In our middle ear, we have three middle ear ossicles, malleus, incus, and what? And stapes. This columella is somehow similar to stapes bone, present into the middle ear, and it help in amplifying the sound and transfer it into the internal ear. Okay. Now, out of these, if you study all the sense organs, eyes and internal ears are well developed, well organized structure, and rest are cellular aggregation around the nerve endings. They are kind of ganglionic structure. Well developed part of sensory, like their sensory system is their simple eyes and internal ears, and rest all the things like sensory papillae, taste buds, their olfactory epithelium or nasal epithelium are not that well organized. So what are they? So they are just aggregation of their nerve endings. Next, eyes in frogs are pair or spherical structure situated in the, I was talking about this structure, orbit in the skull. Yes. So the eye socket of the skull, where eyes are placed, the eye socket, we can call it orbit, even for our skull as well. These are simple eyes. Why simple eye? Because one eye, one lens, that means posing only one unit. If you observe the eyes of insects, eyes of cockroach, and they are called compound eyes. One eye is made up of thousands of small units, thousands of lenses. That's why they cannot like prepare image like clear, crisp image like us. They'll be making mosaic kind of vision. Our vision is very much clear in HD, high megapixel, if you are having simple eye. But if you are animal with compound eye, your vision will be mosaic. Very low megapixel image will be there, very low resolution will be there. Next, about their external ear, that is, as I said, They don't have external ear like we have pinna, and only tympanum can be seen externally. Only eardrum and tympanum, which is for receiving the sound vibration. The ear is an organ. Now, one very important thing, if someone asks you what is the primary function of a ear, there are two primary function of ear. One is obviously hearing, and another is balancing or equilibrium. Okay, the ear was first evolved to provide the body balance, help in equilibrium of body, and gradually like it acclimatized, or then there was natural adaptation. Ear helped us with listening, or as a sensory part of capturing the sound waves or wavelengths, right? So when we are talking about ears, there are two primary functions. Obviously, hearing, everybody knows that, and the one most important function of ear, that is balancing or equilibrium. Now, similar thing happens with our kidneys. So, if someone asks you what is the primary function of kidney, then you will be saying, sir, it will be excretion, help in excretion, elimination of nitrogenous waste. Along with that, kidney is having one more important function, that is balancing the body fluid, water and electrolyte balance, that is called osmoregulation. So for our ear, two important function, hearing and what, and balancing. For kidneys, two important function, excretion, osmoregulation. Okay, now let's take a look about the endocrine system. So there is a part of their chemical coordination. Now the same thing can be asked for human body as well. For higher order organism, for advanced chordates like us, we also have neural system as well as endocrine system. So as frogs, now both the systems are taking they are part of control and coordination. So why do we have two systems for the same function, that is control and coordination? The answer is here. Our body is very clever in terms of like doing efficient work. Okay, promotion of like promoting energy sources, utilizing of energy sources. Like for us, energy sources is ATP. For biological system, the energy currencies. So very tactically our body uses ATPs for different functions, right? So when it needs very quick response against a stimuli, so basically what is the function of coordination system and control system? Processing the signals means responsiveness against the stimulus. You have to give the response, you have to prepare the response. So if it's very quick phenomena, very quickly you have to prepare the response, the body will be using neural system. And if you have ample amount of time with you, then you can use your chemical coordination system, where chemical messengers or hormones are used. For neural system, physical messenger or nerve impulse, electrochemical signals are used. For chemical coordination, chemical messengers or hormones are used. Remember this. So the chemical coordination of various organs of the body is achieved by hormones, which are secreted by endocrine glands, and all the endocrine glands are part of our endocrine system. And just take a rapid look of their prominent endocrine glands of frogs, similarly like us as well. They have pituitary gland, they have pineal gland, they have thyroid gland, they have parathyroid gland, they have thymus, they have pineal gland, they have pancreatic islets or islets of Langerhans, which are responsible for production of hormones for glucose metabolism like insulin and glucagon. They have adrenal glands, which are producer of corticoids and catecholamines, and obviously testes and ovaries, as we call them gonads, because they are producer of gametes as well as hormones. So these are important endocrine glands. They are similar to human being only, okay, in terms of endocrinology, in terms of endocrine glands. You just have to remember what are the different glands we can find inside the frogs. Lastly, after that, we are going to talk about their excretory system. So very few words I am going to tell about their excretory system. While they are larva, means tadpole, they are ammonotelic. The tadpole larva frogs, they'll be excreting out ammonia as because they dwell into water. Adult frogs, they are ureotelic like us. We excrete out urine. Through urine, we are eliminating out excess urea, ammonia, uric acids and other nitrogenous waste. The major excreta, if the major excreta is urea, then those animals are called ureotelic. The major excreta is ammonia, then those animals are called ammonotelic. So while they are in larval stage, they are thriving into water, they will be releasing ammonia and ammonium ion. While they are adult, they will be releasing urea with urine when they are urinating. Now, what about their excretory system? What are the important structures of their excretory system? They have two kidneys, and the type of their kidneys are mesonephric kidney. We have developed kidneys, metanephric. Okay, the evolution of kidneys are like the most primitive one, protonephridia. Then development of protonephridia, will be finding nephridia in animal kingdom. They are not actually kidneys, they are complex tubes. Now, after that advancement of nephridia, we will be finding protonephric kidney. Then we will be finding ophistonephric kidney. Then we will be finding mesonephric kidney. Then we will be finding metanephric kidney. So they have mesonephric kidney. The location of their kidney is at the middle part of their body, not exactly into the anterior part, not exactly into the posterior part. Okay, then they have two ureters. Ureters are fetching the urine produced by kidney from kidneys into the urinary bladder. And from urinary bladder, they will release the urine into cloacal chamber and eliminate out through cloacal apparatus or opening of cloaca. So here I am drawing the diagram. These are two kidneys. Now these two are adrenal glands. Unlike our adrenal glands, their adrenal glands are not situated in the superior pole of their kidneys, right? Along with the kidneys, we will be finding there these two are the adrenal glands, and from kidneys, these two are the ureters. Ureter will be opening into urinary bladder, and urinary bladder opens into cloaca. So this is about their excretory system. Okay, above kidney, you will be finding some fat bodies. These are not adrenal glands. These are what? These are fat bodies. Kidney, ureter, urinary bladder, storehouse of urine, and this urinary bladder is connected. Urinary bladders are connected to ureters, and now urine is released into cloaca, and this will be the cloacal aperture or cloacal opening through which they will be excreting out. So one very important thing you have to remember that while we are discussing about the ureter, for male we can call is at urinogenital duct. For male, the term we use for ureter is not ureter exactly, we use as urinogenital duct, because for male, testes are also associated with kidneys, directly connected with the kidneys, and through the ureter for male frogs, urine also comes out, sperms also comes out. That's why for male we are calling it urinogenital duct. For male or female, commonly we can call it ureter. What is the function of ureter? Bringing the urine from kidneys to urinary bladder. Now each kidney of frog has 2000 nephrons. Each kidney, you have to remember, each kidney having structural and functional unit called nephrons. Also you can call as, nephrons are also called uriniferous tubules. Remember this. Another name of nephron, uriniferous tubule. We are done with the excretory system. Now we are moving forward to the reproductive system. Now this is the last system we are going to study about frog, that is reproductive system. So first we will be studying a male reproductive system. So male reproductive system, what we can see, that these two are kidneys. Just now we have studied, and I was telling that there are two testes present to the superior, near to the superior pole of kidneys, which are directly connected with kidneys. So you have to remember here, first when you talk about male reproductive system, they have testes. Okay, two number of testes upon each kidney. Now after testes, the testes will each testis produces these tubes called vasa efferentia. From each testis, sperm is produced inside the testis, and the sperms, you have to bring out the sperm outside from the testis, right? So you have 10 to 12 vasa efferentia coming out of testes. Vasa efferentia will directly enter into the kidney. After entering into the kidney, the vasa efferentia will conjoin together to form a single duct kind of structure called Bieder's canal. What do we call this? Bieder's canal. Vasa efferentia, well, they enters into the kidney, they will form Bieder's canal. Now the Bieder's canal joined with the ureter or the urinary duct to form a common urinogenital duct or ureter. So it's very simple, there is nothing complexity here. In the superior pole of each kidney, two testes are attached. Testes are directly internally connected with each kidney. Each testis is producing 10 to 12 vasa efferentia. After entering into the kidneys, they are forming a common tube called Bieder's canal. Now this Bieder's canal conjoining with ureter and coming out as urinogenital duct. Bieder's canal conjoins with what? Ureter or urinary duct, and it will form urinogenital duct. Now this urinogenital duct, they're opening into urinary bladder, and then into cloaca, and ultimately their exit point is cloacal aperture. Now we are talking about female reproductive system. Okay, again it's more simpler than the male reproductive one. Observe it very carefully. Again we can see that one pair of kidneys are there. From kidneys, ureters are coming and opening into urinary bladder. And here it's making a common chamber called cloaca, this cloacal aperture. So just beside to that kidney is not directly attached to that. Just beside to the kidney, you'll be finding the ovaries, left ovary and right ovary, beside to the kidney. Okay, there is no internal connection between the kidneys and the ovaries. And if you check them properly, what will be finding? Inside each ovaries, there are thousands of egg or ovaries present inside each ovary. Right? Now, while they're performing external fertilization, just prior to that, the eggs will be released into their body cavity. So what's that? This is the space here is their body cavity. So the eggs are released into their body cavity. Before the eggs dies inside the body cavity, there are certain funnel kind of structure, ovarian funnels, will be capturing those eggs, and through oviduct they will be bringing the eggs into the cloaca. And during the time of external fertilization, few thousands, 2000, 2500 eggs are released out from the body during the time of their spawning. Spawning is releasing of eggs during the time of external fertilization. So what is the pathway of egg here? Eggs are produced into the ovary. Ovary produce ova. Ova is released into their body cavity. So then from body cavity, this funnel kind of structure called ovarian funnels, they are part of their oviduct, collects the ovaries, and oviduct will be transporting the ovaries into the cloaca, and they will be releasing through cloacal aperture into the water. So that's how we can discuss. We have already discussed the male reproductive system as well as female reproductive system. The important difference you can find here, though these ovaries you will be finding proximity to the, means near to the kidneys, but unlike the testes, they don't have direct connection with kidneys, right? For female frogs, they have separate ureter. For male frogs, they have urinogenital duct. Rest, the urinary bladder, cloaca, and their opening is similar. Okay. So now let's talk about their reproductive event. A mature female frog can lay, you have to remember this number, 2500 to 3000 ova. Means many eggs. Ova means many eggs, plural form of ovum, right? At a time. Fertilization is external and takes place into water. Obviously, if the fertilization, here you can see that in breeding season, the male and female frog, they will be searching for pools, okay, for freshwater bodies. And here, generally the female frog, very interesting fact, generally the female frog will be carrying the smaller male frogs upon their back, and they will be jumping towards the pool for breeding season, and they will be releasing their spawn and eggs into a proper area, which we are calling external fertilization. But though they are performing external fertilization, you can see that male and female frogs, they sit proximity. Okay, female frogs and male frog and female frogs, they are sitting on each other. So this phenomena is called pseudo copulation. if you observe their reproduction, if a female is releasing the eggs, that is called spawning, and male is releasing the sperm, that is called milting, and that is properly external process. But why they are sitting together like this? So by observing them you may find that they are doing copulation, but though they are pretending that we are doing copulation, but they are not actually doing copulation. It is called pseudo copulation. Okay, and after pseudo copulation means they want their sperms and eggs to be released in nearby areas. That's why they perform this strategy. Now from the eggs, the development involves a larval stage, that means indirect development, called the tadpole larva, and these tadpoles are exclusively aquatic. You know, the tadpoles are what? They are exclusively aquatic. They have gills for respiration. Okay. Now this tadpole undergoes metamorphosis into different stages. Metamorphosis means if I am changing my body shape, that is called morphosis, changes in morphological structure. Why metamorphosis? Means one immature frog is getting matured, getting developed, getting advanced. So meta means something advanced. So metamorphosis means obviously when the larva will mature into the adult, we can observe advanced version of frog. So after metamorphosis, ultimately when the adult frog is prepared, adult frog is produced, we are studying about them, right? So that was all about that. So few terminologies we have heard, that pseudo copulation, and during this pseudo copulation you can observe that male frog is like holding very tightly the female frog. For that they use their nuptial pads or copulatory pads. So for pseudo copulation, male use copulatory or nuptial pads. Where you will be finding the nuptial pads? The first digit of forelimb. Remember it. Okay. Now some interaction of frogs with human being. Frogs are beneficial for mankind. Why they are beneficial? Because they eat insects. They are insectivorous and protect the crop. So many farmers use them as the means of biological control, right? Frogs maintain ecological balance as well, because this serve as important link of food chain and food web in the ecosystem. So in ecology, wherever you have studied, you might have found the food chain link. Okay, how frogs are important for us in grassland ecosystem, in pond ecosystem. Frogs are very much important. If you wipe out the frogs, then the ecological food chain and the food web gonna destroy in near future. In some countries, the muscular legs of frogs are also used by food by man, like in China, even some northeast part of India. Even many tribal peoples, they really like to eat the muscular hind limbs of frogs. So that was all about frogs. Now there are a few questions we need to solve. First, proportional of frogs circulatory system are given below. Choose the correct option. So you have to find out the correct option. So it has 4-chambered heart. Never. Frogs have 3-chambered heart. A triangular structure called sinus venosus joins the left atrium. Never. It's connected to the right atrium, right? So heart is auto-excitable. Yes, it is having SA node like us. Heart is myogenic in nature. Obviously, the heart is myogenic in nature. So how many options are correct? Option 1 is wrong. Option 2 is wrong. Option 3 and 4 are the correct ones. Now, next, check out the question number 2. Frogs dwell. Dwell means where they lives in water or in vicinity of water. Why water is so much important for their life cycle? So 4 reasons are given. It respires through the skin and reproduction in water. Okay. It can see through its transparent eyelids while swimming. I don't think that this should be the proper reason. Its hind limbs are webbed and facilitating to swim. That is not the root cause why they need to be in vicinity of water bodies. Water is good source of food. Yes, obviously water is a good source of food and moisture, but that should not be the proper reason. The most proper reason I can see here, for respiration it need to maintain the moist skin. If it dries out, then it will die. And nextly, the amphibian nature, the reproduction in water. Without water, they even cannot lay their eggs, because their eggs are jelly-like eggs, which we call non-cladoic eggs. For the survivability of the non-cladoic eggs, they must need to spawn into the water. So our option is option A. Let's check out the next question. Okay, select the correct route for the passage of sperms. Great. So just we were discussing this similar pathway in male reproductive system. First option they're saying, after testis will be getting Bidder's canal directly. No, from testis will be getting vasa efferentia, right? From testis will be getting vasa efferentia. Vasa efferentia gets into the kidney, and inside the kidney, seminal vesicle, urinogenital duct, cloaca. No. Testis to vasa efferentia, right? Vasa efferentia directly Bidder's canal. No. Testis to vasa efferentia gets inside the kidneys, and inside the kidney in the common channel they will be forming Bidder's canal. Bidder's canal will conjoin with ureter, that is called urinogenital duct, and ultimately that will open into cloaca. Correct. Option D is correct answer, correct option. So I think we are done with today's class. I think like we had a lot of fun and we got to know many new things about that amazing creature frog. So catch up to the next lecture next day. Bye bye for now. Jai Hind.